Hello, our mighty Saurus and Sora. It's a nice day to learn about dinosaurs, fossils, and many other interesting prehistoric creatures, isn't it? Today, let's go to Mongolia. When we think of this country, we immediately picture vast steppes and powerful warhorses, reminiscent of the glorious conquests of the Mongols under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his descendants. However, there is another incredibly special aspect of Mongolia that not many people know about. Mongolia is one of the richest dinosaur fossil repositories in Asia, with nearly 100 distinct dinosaur species identified and described, second only to China in Asia and among the top in the world. Today, let's learn about Tarbosaurus, a dinosaur nicknamed the Tyrant of Asia, or the Asian version of T-Rex. Whether these nicknames are justified or not, they carry certain implications. Are you ready? Let's get started. In the early 20th century, Mongolia had just gained independence from the Qing dynasty and was embroiled in political disputes, making it an unlikely destination for scientific research, especially in paleontology. However, this was not the mindset of daring explorers like Roy Chapman Andrews. Between 1922 and 1928, Andrews and his colleagues conducted several deep expeditions into Mongolia's interior, making significant paleontological discoveries, such as the first dinosaur eggs, Oviraptor, and Protoceratops. Andrews' success changed the paleontological community's perception of Mongolia's potential. The Soviets, with their political and economic ties to Mongolia, became the next paleontologists to venture into this land in search of dinosaur fossils and other ancient creatures. In 1946, Soviet explorers discovered the skull and vertebrae of a large theropod dinosaur, the largest found in Asia at that time. It wasn't until 1955 that paleontologists completed the research and description of this specimen. Noting its similarities to T-Rex fossils in North America, Soviet paleontologist Yevgeny Maleev decided it was a new species of the genus Tyrannosaurus, naming it Tyrannosaurus batar, with batar meaning hero in Mongolian. Maleev also described and named 3 smaller theropod skull specimens. The largest was identified as a new genus, Tarbosaurus ephemerovi, with Tarbosaurus, derived from Greek meaning alarming lizard, and ephemerovi, honoring Soviet paleontologist and science fiction writer Ivan Yefremov. The other 2 smaller specimens were assigned to the genus Gorgosaurus, named Gorgosaurus lancinator and Gorgosaurus novogelovi. However, with suspicions that all these specimens belonged to the same species, they underwent a complicated history of name changes, leading to the new combination Tarbosaurus batar in 1965, proposed by paleontologist Anatoly Konstantinovich Rozdestvensky. Ultimately, the paleontological community accepted the single-species hypothesis. While Americans leaned towards the idea that it was a distinct species of the genus Tyrannosaurus in Asia, the Soviets and Mongolians maintained that it was a separate genus closely related to Tyrannosaurus, named Tarbosaurus. Among the species names, only batar was retained, resulting in the scientific name Tarbosaurus batar or Tyrannosaurus batar. The difficulty in naming Tarbosaurus stems from its striking resemblance to its North American relative, Tyrannosaurus. To this day, there is no definitive conclusion on whether they are 2 species of the same genus or different genera with a close relationship. However, we lean towards the latter, and will use the name Tarbosaurus for the remainder of this video. To date, many well-preserved and relatively intact Tarbosaurus specimens have been collected, totaling around 30, including 15 skulls. This facilitates the study of Tarbosaurus anatomical features, behavior, and lifestyle. The abundance of Tarbosaurus fossils also implies that this dinosaur once had a glorious time at the top of the food chain in its era. So, What are the similarities and differences between Tarbosaurus and Tyrannosaurus that lead people to call Tarbosaurus the Asian T-Rex? For the average person looking at the skeletons of both species, 99.9% of us would struggle to spot the differences. In terms of size, the largest Tarbosaurus specimen found so far is smaller than the largest Tyrannosaurus specimen, measuring about slightly above 10 meters compared to 12.3 meters. However, the difference is not significant, and it's possible that the largest specimens of both species have yet to be discovered in the fossil record. The most distinguishing features likely come from the skull. The Tarbosaurus skull is generally narrower than that of Tyrannosaurus. As a result, their eyes are positioned more to the sides, whereas Tyrannosaurus eyes are placed to allow binocular vision. Therefore, paleontologists believe that while T-Rex had superior vision, Tarbosaurus relied more on its sense of smell. Tarbosaurus had more teeth in its skull than Tyrannosaurus, 64 compared to about 55. The jaws of Tarbosaurus were also considered more rigid and less flexible than those of Tyrannosaurus. The bite force and the distribution of force across different parts of the skull also differed. Tarbosaurus is believed to have had a weaker bite force than Tyrannosaurus, around 8 to 10,000 psi compared to 13,000 psi. While each bite of Tyrannosaurus transmitted pressure from the upper jaw to the fused nasal bones and then to the lacrimal bones, reducing pressure on the eyes, in Tarbosaurus, the pressure was transmitted more directly from the upper jaw to the lacrimal bones, explaining its weaker bite force. Paleontologists attribute these differences to the distinct prey each dinosaur hunted. While Tyrannosaurus preyed on robust horned dinosaurs with thick skulls, neck frills, and formidable horns for defense, such as Triceratops and Torosaurus, Tarbosaurus prey included hadrosaurs like Saurolophus and long-necked dinosaurs like Nemegtosaurus. As a result, they developed different hunting strategies, leading to different evolutionary adaptations, particularly in the skull. In terms of sheer strength, Tarbosaurus may be inferior to Tyrannosaurus, at least based on current knowledge. However, that was more than enough for Tarbosaurus to maintain its position as the top predator in its ecosystem. Paleontologists have found evidence of Tarbosaurus bite marks on dinosaurs like Saurolophus and Deinocheirus. A 2020 study based on Tarbosaurus tooth isotopes demonstrated that its prey primarily consisted of long-necked dinosaurs from the Titanosauria group and hadrosaurs living in the same area. On the other hand, adult Tarbosaurus had no competitors of similar size in the region. The greatest competition likely occurred when they were not yet fully grown, with young Tarbosaurus facing intense prey competition from smaller theropods like Aeoliormus, Borogovia, and Tacosaurus. This could significantly impact their survival to adulthood. At this point, you might think that being similar to and compared to the king of all dinosaur, T-Rex, is a source of pride for Tarbosaurus and the country where it was found, Mongolia. But no, it turned out to be the beginning of a disaster. Because it was so similar to T-Rex but easier to obtain due to the Mongolian government's inadequate management and protection, Tarbosaurus suddenly became a lucrative commodity for fossil smugglers and a favorite prize for dinosaur fossil collectors. In the United States, laws regarding fossil excavation and ownership are relatively strict, making it difficult and expensive to own a top-tier dinosaur skeleton like T-Rex. Therefore, Tarbosaurus was seen as a potential substitute. The Mongolian and Chinese governments, where Tarbosaurus fossils have also been found, completely prohibit the sale of dinosaur fossils and assert that all specimens collected must be handed over to paleontological institutes for research. However, the vast territory and lack of protective forces have led to rampant fossil smuggling, including Tarbosaurus. One of the greatest losses for Tarbosaurus occurred in the early 1990s, when an international paleontological expedition consisting of Italian, French, and Mongolian scientists discovered a rare Tarbosaurus skeleton, complete with fossilized skin patches that had survived for tens of millions of years. Due to a lack of resources to excavate such a large skeleton, the team marked the location and planned to return a few years later to carry out the excavation. However, when they returned, they found that the skeleton had disappeared without a trace, likely dug up by fossil poachers. It's no surprise that many Tarbosaurus specimens end up in the United States. In a famous incident in 2007, two Hollywood stars, Nicolas Cage and Leonardo DiCaprio, bid against each other for a Tarbosaurus skull, with Cage ultimately winning for $276,000. However, it was undoubtedly a smuggled fossil, and by July 2014, U.S. authorities had contacted the actor to inform him of the skull's origins. Cage eventually decided to do the right thing and returned the skull to Mongolia in 2015. Many other specimens have also been collected by the U.S. government and handed back to the Asian nation in a recent event. It's a happy ending, but there's no guarantee that smuggling won't continue in the future. Hopefully, the Mongolian government and the international scientific community will find ways to protect treasures like Tarbosaurus fossils from the greed of smugglers, bringing them into research to reveal the secrets of the dinosaur era. That concludes today's video. We sincerely thank you for your interest and support. If you enjoyed our content, don't forget to subscribe and follow to receive notifications about new videos. For now, goodbye and see you in our next videos.